Well, happy Saturday, folks. The real Captain Kirk here. We're live from One Bethel Plaza here on the 4th of October, the first weekend of October here. Typical fall when it's really, really dry, low humidity outside. You can have cool mornings. We were 46 this morning, below average. And this afternoon we'll heat up quickly, going up to 81, so above average. So again, a beautiful weekend here at 360's headquarters. Krissy Klinger, one of our finest, Senior VP of Client Services, is touring Iceland on the unfortunately for her vacation. It's the warmest in 9 years, but also the wettest in 10 years. But again, visiting Iceland, which is usually relatively green compared to Greenland, which is usually pretty white, snowy, obviously. So kind of a funny name. Our Supergirl is making the rounds here. Again, we spoke at the Women in Ag conference here. Again, so 360 Supergirl mascot is actually modeled after the little Angelina Kirk here. So again, spoke to about 1,000 women here at the conference here. So it was a great conference, and hopefully we'll be invited back next year. Looking at the climate indices here, again, this is just the animation of the ocean temperatures versus last year. We like to look at things how it's different than a year ago. We're in a kind of an ENSO negative neutral phase here. Weakish La Niña, but really not a lot full-blown La Niña. One thing that's new on the map here is the blob. That's just the warmer than average temperatures off the west coast. That could play a role here this winter. So it can make for some cold and potentially snowy weather ahead here. Map inset left there is the trends versus average. We just look at the model guidance. While there's been some hype here about La Niña you have to have the cooling of the ocean temperatures below 0.5 C below average for 3 months. I don't think we're going to have that. We might get to a couple months of slightly below average, negative 0.5. But and then if you look at the models here, both models are taking it toward a weakish El Nino event as we get into spring next year. So a rapid change here from the pattern we're in. So that will definitely play a role in our forecast for spring, summer 2026. Looking at Siberia snowfall here, this is a kind of one bellwether. There's some research here that suggests when you have a very early snowpack, and we definitely have an early snowpack across Siberia. We're showing our index here of snowfall across Siberia is the snowiest in 23 years, third most in 40 years. This some research suggests that this can make for a weak polar vortex when you have early onset of snow like this. Weak polar vortex just means the cold can leave the North Pole and move all around the U.S., Canada, Europe. So we'll see. Again, we do believe it will be a similarly cold winter to last year, maybe a hair warmer, but the chance that it could be even colder than last year's coldest in 10 years is certainly a plus. And then with the potentially wetter pattern as we get out of this La Niña toward a weakish El Nino, at least a warm phase, it could be snowy as the latter part of winter into spring next year. Real quick recap here of Q3 for our big retail clients, August through October. So part of this in the history book. We still have about 4 weeks left here, but overall, when we add it all up here now, again, it's a little misleading because we've had two extremes. The coldest Labor Day week there in late September, late August, actually early September, was the coldest in 38 years nationally. So really, really cold there. And then now, obviously, the beginning of October, second warmest in 40 years. And then we do believe there'll be a cooling trend here toward the latter half of October. Still above average, but again, quite a bit colder than last year. And probably getting into a wetter cycle here. We need it. It's been extremely dry here. So overall for the quarter, it'll be about half a degree cooler than last year, coolest in 5 years, and number one driest in 40 years. That dry weather here, you can see again, since July 4th weekend, the U.S. has been the driest in over 40 plus years, near record, near drought for the U.S. here since that period. The good news, bad news is this puts the trees very stressed, and they tend to change colors very quickly, but also they can drop very quickly. So again, if you get some pretty color here, and again, we're starting to see widespread color emerging across the U.S., peaking probably here mid to late October for most of us. But again, the leaves can drop quickly here with that type of drought pattern. Look at the Atlantic hurricane season. We're day 125. We've got about 57 days left. Can't get lulled to sleep because October can still be a big month here, and there are a few systems to watch. The bigger one is the one coming off Africa here. That one we'll see gets toward the Windward Islands. These systems take about 10 to 14 days if they make it all the way to the U.S. Some models suggest this is going to make another right turn toward Bermuda. We'll see here again, way out there, so too early to say. A couple weak systems off Florida and the Gulf. The one off Florida might be worth watching. Again, it sits there long enough, might develop into something. So got to watch it because it can go quickly this time of year. Severe weather, virtually none this past week here. So we're still trending down 11% versus last year for tornadoes, still above average. Hail up 1% versus a year ago, and wind up 2%. Not much on the 7-day outlook here. Again, maybe some marginal activity coming out of the north central plains into the central plains here this weekend. Looking at hot 90-degree days year to date here. We'll be ending this soon here because just about done with these. But fifth most in 40 years, still down 8% versus last year, and lost some steam here with 32-degree days. We're now trending down 55% versus last year. We had been trending up, but now we're trending down, much below average on that front. Look at last week world summer here, ending today, the 4th of October here. Here in the U.S., about a degree hotter than last year. Number one, hottest in 40 years. Hot 90-year days were actually down 37%, least in 3 years, still fifth most in 40 years. And dry, 32% drier, dries in 24, second driest in 40 years. Big map here now is the trends versus last year. So if there's some cooler trends, it was the East Coast, Northeast, and for sure the Southwest on a year-on-year basis. We actually had our first light frost here in eastern PA and much of New England as well. So again, a little bit earlier than last year. Last year was more in mid-October, so maybe a week or two earlier than a year ago. Farmers are out there harvesting at warp speed here with the really, really dry weather. Corn is matured and dried and ready for harvesting much earlier than typical. So farmers are harvesting at warp speed here and getting some generally okay weather. 1.1 warmer than last year, fourth warmest in 40 years nationally. 90-year days still down 55%, least in 3 years, still 14th most. And precip is actually up 80%, wettest in 4 years, but that's still kind of just in the middle of the pack here. Again, you can see all that heavy rain on eastern coast of Florida here. We'll see. Again, there's a weak system there, if that can potentially develop. And actually some much needed rain there in the Four Corners area of the Central Rockies here. And actually, look at that, some first snows we see there in the Yellowstone, Montana areas. Kind of be a theme here that expands as we go to next week, mid-October, 12th through 18 October. 4 points. You see the cold front here, though, kind of going from the west, expanding into the Central Plains. And that heat is kind of shifting a bit, but still 4.6 warmer than last year, warmest in 9 years, second warmest in 40 years for this week. But again, a sign of a change here. You can see definitely a cooling trend potential as we go in for this latter half of October. 90-degree days are down 55%, and precip again up 82%, still ninth driest in 40 years. But again, all that snow there in potentially Montana and Wyoming, and heavier rain there in the heart of the Corn Belt here, so that could have some impact on Iowa farmers harvesting. If we aggregate these world 2-week trends here through the 18th of October, general theme is warm across North America. Cooler would be the western part of the U.S. A little bit of a moderating trend there across Europe. Still cool toward the Mediterranean. Map ends up left is the trends versus last year. Big map was the trend versus average. World 2-week precipitation outlook here again through the 18th. Again, starting to see some very heavy snow there again across northeast Siberia, shifting a bit. Alaska maybe get pummeled here with some early snow. So again, that's a bellwether. Again, you get the early September, October snows. It can lead to a weaker polar vortex, which just allows cold air to move during the winter months ahead. So a lot of climate indices are kind of suggesting that. Precip map inset left versus average. We'll end here with my little one here, again, helping her start her own YouTube channel. She's a big fan of gymnastics and singing and great artist, loves education and travel. So again, kid-friendly website. So again, a YouTube channel. So Angelic Angelina number 9, if you want to check her out. But again, a kid-friendly channel. So with that, folks, have a great week ahead, and we will talk to you again here soon.